Jaguars and Texans, what a great game this is about to be. Before we hop into this, I would just like to say if you're new here, I put a lot of effort into these videos and I would really appreciate it if you subscribe, drop a like to help this video out in the algorithm, and leave a comment. That helps this video out a lot too. And also I'd like to hear your thoughts so we can have a conversation about my thoughts on this game. Without further ado, let's hop right into the key points on how both teams can win this game. Starting off here with how can the Jaguars win this game? My 3 big points for them are pressuring CJ Stroud. Trevor Lawrence has to outperform CJ Stroud, and the Jaguars need to win the turnover battle. Pressuring CJ Stroud, an important stat to note here is that CJ Stroud has a sub 50% completion percentage when he is under pressure. That means that if the Jaguars can get consistent pressure on CJ Stroud, they can force incompletions and they can force stops. Really big here on third down. If they can get pressure on CJ Stroud on third downs, they can force punts consistently. And why is this so important? Well, this ties into the second point where Trevor Lawrence has to outperform CJ Stroud. In every single loss, the opposing quarterback had a higher rating than CJ Stroud for the Houston Texans. So Trevor Lawrence, he needs to be able to achieve that, and the best way that they can do that, in my opinion, is by pressuring Stroud, because if they can pressure him a lot, they will be able to lower his completion number. That is going to really hurt his yards, his performance, just overall the Texans' ability to move down the field. They need to use Josh Allen to their advantage, and for the Jaguars, if they can do this successfully, they will be able to force interceptions and win the turnover battle. That's my third point, because Trevor Lawrence, when he throws interceptions and the Jaguars lose the turnover battle, the Jaguars lose games. And for the Jaguars to win this game, they're going to need to win the turnover battle. I do not think there is a way where the Jaguars win this game without winning the turnover battle, because if they can win the turnover battle, then their offense will be outperforming the Texans' offense. Why do I think that's a guaranteed fact? Because this Jaguars team is talented and they are well coached. They are well put together. They take advantage of turnovers, and when they can win the turnover battle, I think they can easily win games. So moving on now to the Texans, how can they win? Well, obviously force turnovers. If they can win the turnover battle, I think they're going to win this game, obviously. But if the Texans can force turnovers, the real reason why they have a shot to win at this game is if we look at the stats, the only game where Trevor Lawrence had 2 interceptions was a 34-3 loss versus San Francisco. Their worst loss of the year. And in 2/3 of the losses this season, otherwise known as 2 of their losses, because they only have 3, Trevor Lawrence has thrown at least 1 interception. One of those losses being to Houston. And this is why it's so important for the Texans to win the turnover battle. And not necessarily just win the turnover battle, but if they can force turnovers, I don't even think they have to win it. But if they could just force enough turnovers, like if they get 2 interceptions, I think the Texans win this game, because the Texans are also well coached, a well put together team, and they will also just as equally take advantage of turnovers. CJ Stroud also needs to have a very big day, because another stat we have to look at here is in 5 out of 6 wins, CJ Stroud has thrown for 280 plus passing yards, and in 4 of those he's thrown for over 300. We all know that game he balled out with over 400 passing yards against Tampa Bay, where he led that game-winning drive to win. It was the best performance ever put up by a rookie. And if CJ Stroud can have a big day and outperform Trevor Lawrence, I think they will win. Because as we can see here, in the games they win, he does that. And as we saw from earlier, that stat from earlier, in all losses, the opposing quarterback is at a higher rating than CJ Stroud. This Texans team, their success revolves around CJ Stroud's success. And I think for the Texans, if CJ Stroud outperforms Trevor Lawrence, I think that they will win this game. This game highly revolves around the quarterback play of these 2 quarterbacks, and tied into the second point here, getting the running game going without relying on it, though. A big stat we have to look at here is that in most Texans wins, Dameon Pierce has had decent days on the ground, but in losses he can sometimes have more yards than usual. Good example is a 21-19 loss versus Atlanta, where he had a lot of yards because they were relying too much on their run game. The star of this team is CJ Stroud, but if they can get a strong running game going with it, having that dual threat, I don't think there is any way the Jaguars win this game if CJ Stroud's going off and Dameon Pierce is ripping off some big runs. And by big runs, I only mean like 7 or 8 yards a carry, which of course is very impressive, but they don't need to use him on every single series of 4 downs, but they need to find points in the game to use him, and when they do, he needs to be effective. And they also have their other running backs on the team too. They don't all the reps don't have to go to Pierce, and that reflects in the stats too, right? Not all the reps have gone to Pierce. Really, just the Texans, they need to play the same type of game they've been playing all year, just I think with a little more emphasis on the run game, because if they can get the run and the pass game both clicking, I don't think there's anything that Jaguars defense can do to stop that other than putting pressure on CJ Stroud, in which case they can just lean back on the run. Giving CJ Stroud the run to lead on will give him so much confidence to do number 2, which also ties into number 1. All these points here are all tied together between all 6 of these points really all tie together. Just putting them side by side here for you, you could really see how these points tie into each other. And I think that this is going to be a very good game. And if we're looking back on the game, you should come back to this video, check out these points if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can check out these points. And I'm likely going to be making a game review on this game, and I'm definitely going to be going back to these points to see how close the winning team came to these. Now let's move on to the final part of this video, my prediction for the game. Finally, who do I think's gonna win? Well, I'm not too sure, but if I had to guess, I would say the Jaguars. I think the Jags will come out with a win here. They really need it, because if they lose this game, they're gonna be down 2-0 in the series, and that is gonna be absolutely huge for the AFC South crown. But the reason why I think the Jaguars were going to win this game is because I feel like their goals are a lot easier to reach than the Texans' goals are. I think that both of these teams absolutely necessarily need definitely 2, if not all 3 of the points that I covered today. But that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. My final score for this game, that's tough. That's tough. Part of me wants to say this is offensive, but if the Jags are going to win, I feel like it's going to be closer to a defensive game. So I think I'm going to say final score 23-20 Jacksonville. This very well could be 38-35 Jacksonville. Jacksonville could win in a high-scoring game, but I do think their defense is going to have to come through in order for them to win. Actually, I'm going to change my score to 27-24 Jacksonville on a walk-off field goal, of course. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate a like, subscribe, comment down below your thoughts. Again, I'd love to have a discussion about how this game is going to go. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.